In this video, I'm going to break down the top 10 reasons why I chose Paraguay as my main base. From incredible tax benefits and relaxed residency rules, to intrinsic value, booming opportunities, and most importantly, a freedom-loving culture that is so hard to find in the 21st century. When I'm being asked about the main reason, the number one reason why I personally ended up choosing Paraguay over other countries in this beautiful world, including Latin American countries, Asian countries, African countries, Middle Eastern countries, why did I end up choosing Paraguay? Number one reason for me personally was the fact that Paraguay is one of the best places for taxes and residency. There are very few countries on this planet that make it legal for you not to pay taxes on foreign sourced income. Paraguay's tax system is a territorial one. When we say territorial tax system, we mean this country, the beautiful country of Paraguay, taxes its citizens and residents just on income that's generated within its very own territory, meaning income earned from abroad, be it from Canada, the United Kingdom, Russia, African countries, Asian countries, countries in the South Pacific, in the Caribbean, and other Latin American countries. It doesn't matter where your income may originate from, Paraguay will not tax that income. This system, called the territorial tax system, gives you, the expat, unlimited freedom for income earned from abroad, because you can legally live in Paraguay and not have to worry about paying taxes on your foreign sourced income. This is an incredible deal in my opinion. Lots of expats and immigrants are evading taxes in other countries because people living in, say, the Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, or even other Latin American countries, I don't know, perhaps a Chile, perhaps a Mexico, all these countries, they don't apply a territorial tax system. So what happens when you have income from abroad and you don't declare it? Well, you actually commit to tax evasion, which is illegal. In Paraguay's case, not paying taxes on most, if not all of your foreign sourced income is actually legal. It is actually legal, and it gives you the peace of mind, the freedom that you need to go to bed at night, sleep well, knowing that you did the right thing. The chickens always come home to roost. In Paraguay's case, there are no chickens to roost. Next, the residency point is one of the strongest. Like, Paraguay is one of the few countries in the entire world that enables you, assuming you are from an eligible country, to come to this South American country, apply for residency without investing any money at all. Yes, you have to pay your visa application fees. Yes, you have to pay your relocation agency. Let's say you choose us. Yes, you have to pay us, but you don't have to invest any money in this country to immigrate to Paraguay. You don't have to buy real estate. You don't have to operate a business. You don't have to start a business. You don't have to employ Paraguayans. You don't have to purchase real estate. You don't have to invest in stocks, precious metals, nothing. You can get residency without committing money to this country. This is a very strong selling point. It's a unique selling proposition that Paraguay has for you. Where other countries say, hey, before we allow you to immigrate to our country, we want to know how much money you have to show proof of income, if you have a pension, social security, you have to provide proof of that. Because if not, those countries will not allow you to immigrate. In Paraguay's case, there is no economic solvency requirement. So this is another great selling point. I looked at this a couple of years ago and I said to myself, this got to be one of the best residency programs. Why isn't nobody promoting this program if it is so flexible, if the entry requirements are so low? And back then, when we started backing Paraguay, we came out as the biggest backer of Paraguay probably in history. You know, we started promoting this country like crazy and it became very popular. But back in 2022, there was almost nobody promoting this country. There were very few YouTube videos. There were no people blasting the internet with content on Paraguay. Yeah, there were some people that were talking about it, but it did not go mainstream yet. And even if it went, and back then I thought, even if it would go mainstream, it probably wouldn't become very popular because of where it's located, not having a coastline, and just a few other factors where I'd say people aren't going to choose this country as much. At least not all of them. Some people will, and we're going to talk about that in the coming points. The second biggest reason why I chose Paraguay as my main base is because of our company, Nomad Elite. We are a relocation agency that specializes in helping expats, people from all across the globe, relocate to more liberal tax-friendly countries in Latin America, Europe, and partially also in other parts of the world. So this is obviously a big point for me. Wherever I move for business, I move for freedom, and I move because I see opportunity. I see things that oftentimes people don't see. And I saw Paraguay's potential before it became popular. Like in 2024, it became very popular, but I saw Paraguay's potential years ago. And I'm very glad that I chose this country, and it helped our company tremendously. The third biggest reason why I chose Paraguay as my main base is because of its people. This is often a very neglected fact to look at. Oftentimes we believe no matter where we go, we will be welcome. This turns out not to be true in the majority of cases. It is a different thing visiting a country and living in a country. There are countries that happily welcome visitors because they like collecting the tourism dollar, the tourism pound, the tourism euro. However, when it comes to you settling down in those countries, you may not find the same welcomeness from the people. In Paraguay's case, it is very different. Let me tell you why. This is not a tourist hotspot. Look at where it's located on the map. It does not have access to the ocean. I mean, it has access to the ocean, but it does not have a coastline. So there are no beachside beaches, right? There are no beaches. There isn't a whole lot to do here, which makes Paraguay a great place to live in if you want to make money. The best thing you can hope for is having little to no distractions, and we're going to talk about this in a moment as well. The welcoming people are just one of Paraguay's strongest selling points, because in a world that is constantly changing, in a world that has welcomed millions and millions of expats and immigrants over the past decades, Paraguay hasn't really done that. Yes, Paraguay is seeing a lot of immigration inflow from Brazil, Argentina, Venezuela. However, lots of immigrants to Paraguay in more recent years turn out to be immigrants from Europe, North America, and even parts of Asia like South Korea. The mentality here is very different. This is a very communal country. People welcome you more easily into this country because nobody has monetary expectations of you like they do in other countries. For instance, Thailand, this is very popular. You go to Thailand, people are friendly to you, but the country is heavily dependent on tourism. If Thailand were to lose its tourism sector, millions and millions of Thai people would be living in poverty. Here, this would not be the case. 4, boredom. Now, Paraguay is a boring country. If you come from, the countryside, or if you live in a rural area, if you like it slow, if you want a slow-paced lifestyle where people don't care about what's going on in the world, like politics in Paraguay is not really a concern to most people. There aren't really a whole lot of arguments happening surrounding politics. Yes, people believe there is corruption here, just as they believe so in many other countries. However, people don't care about it as much as they do in America, Canada, or Europe, or Australia. But let's talk about boredom. Because there's not much to do here, it is harder for you to spend money than in the Philippines, Thailand, Dubai, Morocco, Brazil, Argentina, right? Look at it. I mean, there isn't a whole lot to do. It would be the same thing as you moving to a very rural place in your native country. There's not much to do there, but there's probably more things to spend money on than here in Paraguay. Now, I see this as a tremendous asset. It is an asset to an entrepreneur looking to establish a business while not spending a whole lot of money. Other places come with tons of distractions, encouraging you to spend money while living in the country. Paraguay is a very different animal. The tourism industry here is growing, but there isn't a whole lot of things to be spending money on. It just isn't. There's not much to do here. Yes, you can spend money on beauty services. Yes, you can spend money on exotic cars. They exist here. Yes, you can spend money on dining out, on fancy stuff, but it is a lot less than it is in most countries in the developed world. Because of that, many people now, I'm talking about the younger generation, people who aspire to reach high levels of net worth, they come to Paraguay, surrender their existing tax residency abroad, apply for Paraguayan residency, get their tax residency here so that they can minimize the taxes that they owe to the Paraguayan government. Most of the times they're able to minimize their taxes to zero. Why? Their income is foreign sourced. It's predicated on foreign income sources, meaning they don't have to pay taxes on that income while living in Paraguay. Paraguay is a great wealth generator for people with online businesses, real estate moguls, if you are a trader, if you are into crypto, any kind of location independent business owner would do very well here in Paraguay. Lots of our clients come here, they're interested in investing in real estate. Many people have foreign sourced income, so they have a business abroad, they have a US LLC. Some people have Australian companies, some people are currently set up in Dubai, they're looking to get out of Dubai, right? People come from all walks of life, all kinds of different experiences, and they want to come to Paraguay to find more freedom and more boredom. I don't see a whole lot of people paying attention to, but it is one of the most important points to be paying attention to. You know what that point is? The air quality. The air quality decides your quality of life. It decides your life expectancy. It decides whether you're going to be healthy or sick. It decides everything. Yet so few people that I've met, that I've come across, really consider this factor. So many people overlook this. It is almost like it doesn't matter to them. It's irrelevant until they finally start seeing their quality of life decline, which is oftentimes the cause of bad air quality. If the air that you're breathing in on a daily basis is toxic, it's bad, right? There's a lot of industry, lots of old vehicles on the road, right? Like it is the case in most of Southeast Asia and East Asia as well. You're going to see a reduced life expectancy in those countries because of the high humidity, the high temperatures, and the country restricting you from outdoor activities always leads to a decreased quality of life. This is something that nobody cares to talk about. Nobody cares to touch this topic because they can't solve it. The government doesn't want to solve this issue, and because of rapid industrialization across the Eastern Hemisphere, many people are now seeing a declining life expectancy, especially those who tend to spend more time outdoors. This is super important. Now, in Paraguay's case, and I'm talking now about Paraguay's biggest city, metropolitan, Asunción, there is so much greenery here, right? There are so many trees that provide oxygen for your lungs to breathe. This is a vital component for your life. Do not ignore that. And the same can be said, by the way, the same can be said also about Argentine cities, about Uruguayan cities. I mean, these countries that I just mentioned, right? Paraguay, Argentina, and Uruguay, they have the best air quality across Latin America. There is more of an awareness here, and also what happens here, right? Not much. There is not much industrialization, which is good. On one hand, it's bad because you don't have a lot of jobs in many sectors. On the other hand, it's good because there is less to worry about, less environmental problems, meaning less health problems associated with industries. The food quality, a very important point too. Now, if the soil were not to be good in Paraguay, the food quality would likely also suffer. Now, there are a lot of places on this planet that don't have good food quality. Why? It doesn't matter. They want to raise the cattle as quickly as possible, slaughter it, sell the meat, and get done with it because they're all in it for profit. Now, in Paraguay's case, that is true as well. Paraguay obviously wants to make money from its agricultural sector. There's no question about it, but the soil here is better than in many emerging countries. There's more awareness here. Food quality does matter. It is highly European influenced, and you know what that means. Higher food quality, just a higher standard, a higher dining standard, right? There's just more awareness for the little things that matter. Many emerging parts of the world are seeing contaminated food issues, including the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and to be fair, also across many Latin American countries. In my opinion, the air and the food quality are the two most important things to consider when moving abroad, because these two things determine your quality of life and ultimately your life expectancy. Another reason why I chose Paraguay as my main base is because of cultural assimilation. I've lived in many countries worldwide. In some of them, I was able to assimilate more easily than in others. I don't want to be talking negatively about Eastern countries. I think they have provided me with a ton of value, and I'm always going to be grateful for what I received back then. However, I have to say that at the end of the day, and certainly with growing age, cultural assimilation is more important to me than ever before. It is important to me that I have the capacity, that I have the ability to assimilate. And what's important to do this successfully is of course to have the same culture, to be in a country where the same religion is being practiced. Now, Paraguay is a majority Catholic country, which is very important to me personally, and it was one of the main deciding factors that led to my decision. It's easier for me to assimilate here in Paraguay than it was in Vietnam, than it was in Thailand, than it was in Malaysia. All these are beautiful countries that offer an amazing quality of life, beautiful people, welcoming people. But talking from a cultural assimilation perspective, if you come from North America, the US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa, assimilating yourself in Paraguay will be so much easier than in most other countries in the emerging world. This is a fact. I chose Paraguay as my main base because of its climate. Paraguay is home to a very good climate, in my opinion. Yes, there are some very hot months, and you've heard me complain about it in some of my videos. However, I would say Paraguay has the kind of climate I'm looking for. During many months throughout the year, I can wear nice clothing, I can wear pullovers, I can wear jackets, I can wear jeans without sweating myself to death. I can do that here, whereas in other parts of the world where I've lived in, for instance, Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia, the Philippines, Vietnam, it was always difficult to wear nice clothing. Why? Temperatures are always high. These countries are extremely close to the equator. Some of them are exactly on the equator, like for instance East Malaysia is, or West Malaysia is. And because of that, if you wear nice clothing like I do now, you would be sweating yourself to death. And it's not very comfortable. Okay, from a clothing perspective, I think this is obvious. Paraguay is much further away from the equator than Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia. And because of that, Paraguay enjoys more of a subtropical climate and not a tropical climate, meaning there are more seasons here, even though the winter is short, usually just a week to 3 weeks max. But the autumn, which we're in right now, is very beautiful. I can wear nice clothing. It's cool at night, and even during the day, it's very pleasant. We're looking at anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius, and at night, you're looking at probably 12 to 19 degrees Celsius. So you see, it's very comfortable. There is no sweating. I mean, I'm sure some people would still be sweating because they are accustomed to much, much colder climate. But for a lot of people from the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa, this climate works perfectly. And then of course there's also the hot summer, which is something some people have to get accustomed to because it does get hotter than in their native countries. I chose Paraguay because of the mindset. What do I mean by mindset? Freedom of expression is one of these things that are not a guarantee anywhere in the world today. In Paraguay's case, I think freedom of speech is much more present than in many other countries across the emerging world, where you cannot become a permanent resident, where you cannot become a citizen, where you have to watch very carefully what comes out of your mouth, because once something comes out of your mouth, you can't magically put the words back into your mouth. What's been said has been said, and because of that, you could be exposing yourself to a lot of risk. Some things like defamation, some things like speaking your mind freely would not be considered a criminal act across many Western countries. And if it was considered a wrong, it's usually just a civil case. In many countries where the monarch is one of the top, if not the top officials, you couldn't be criticizing the government openly and be expecting not to get punished for it, right? This is very prevalent in lots of countries. I would say Thailand, Brunei, the Middle East, you name it. There are many countries there where you could not speak your mind freely about internal politics. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen, resident, or visitor, you couldn't do that. Or you could face severe penalties, including jail time, torture, and financial penalties. In Paraguay's case, you can say things pretty freely. Obviously, there's certain things that should never be discussed so easily, but overall, I would say I feel a lot freer here in Paraguay than I would if I were to live in the Middle East or if I were to live in Asia. I could not be speaking my mind as freely over there. Gun ownership is also part of the mindset. Now, in Paraguay, you can own guns legally. You can own firearms legally. Pistols, rifles, shotguns. You can own these guns legally here. Now, there is a requirement. You have to be a permanent resident before you can own these firearms legally, but the path to permanent residence is just 2 years. Now, this is a very important point for Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Australians, New Zealanders who want to retain their Second Amendment rights. Paraguay is one of the few countries across the emerging world where foreign gun ownership is permitted, and it's actually quite easy to own a gun here. Whereas in other countries, you couldn't own one. You couldn't even be looking at a gun so easily. But here, it's very durable, assuming you have permanent residency, which is something that we can help you obtain. Expats looking for freedom, lower taxes, a like-minded community is also part of the mindset. A lot of the people who you meet here in Paraguay, they are very freedom-oriented. They have clear ambitions. They escaped their native countries because they got tired of the political turmoil, restrictions, lack of freedom of speech, increasing taxes, and much more. So they ended up coming to Paraguay to find more freedom. And guess what? They found exactly that. The language is a big point as well. Now, if English is your native language, learning Spanish will not be very difficult. It's probably the easiest second language to learn for a native English speaker. That is a fact. Any other language, Asian languages, African languages, European languages, would be much harder to learn than English. Being able to understand and communicate with the locals and also other expats in the local language here, of course this doesn't need to happen immediately, but eventually, will obviously increase your quality of life and happiness. Now that I've mentioned the top 10 reasons why I chose Paraguay as my main base, what are your reasons for moving to Paraguay? If you're interested in obtaining a residency here and would like to talk to me personally, please go to nomadelite.com and click on book consultation. I look forward to consulting you on the best residency options here in Paraguay and other Latin American countries as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate your attendance and I look forward to welcoming you to this beautiful country.